Hi, this video is going to walk you through how the ProCom competition is going to work this year. So first of all, there are kind of three files that hopefully have been shared with you at this point. The first one I'm going to look at is the practice problems PDF. And what this document has is, I believe, six different problems that are somewhat similar to ones that could be seen during the competition. During the actual competition, there will be 24. 10 will be easy or level A problems. 8 of them will be kind of the medium section, and then 6 of them will be more challenging. So the first problem here is kind of the standard first problem. All it's going to ask the user to do is to output the message hello. The second problem here asks the user to read in some input, which we'll talk about in a second how to do that. To read in like a number followed by a message, and then the output would be that message repeated that many times. And they get more difficult from there. This time it reads in a number, so that will indicate a number of values to add up. Then there will be 3 lines after that. The first line will start with a number, which is the following numbers, the number of numbers that will follow. So here's the number 3, so 3 more numbers will show up, and those 3 numbers need to be added. 1 plus 5 plus 6 is 12. Same, the next number row starts with a 7. You've got 7 numbers to add up. The sum of those 7 twos is 14, and then you have one number adds up to 62 because there's only one number, and then there's your output. And so there's a variety of problems here that you can look at as they get kind of more difficult as you go down the list. This one has some ASCII letter conversions, which would be a good thing to talk to your students about, how to do that, all the way to some problems that are fairly difficult in terms of intersection between circles and rectangles. So that's what that document has. During the competition, students will actually be given a hard copy of this, so they don't have to look at it in a browser. They will also have an electronic copy of it as well. Probably more interesting will be this document here, which is the demo directions, which students will also receive a very similar document during the actual competition. So this goes through what we just talked about in terms of the easy, medium, and hard problems. I put that in air quotes because someone may find an easy problem actually fairly difficult. There are 1 point for the easier questions, 2 points for the medium questions, and 3 points for the hard questions. And so this probably is a good time to bring up the actual competition website, at least for the demo. So it looks something like this. You can see that there's a bunch of schools that are entered here. In the actual competition, there will be one or two different teams from the same school. So there might actually be like a Lane Tech white and a Lane Tech red. But right now I have just all the schools listed here that can participate in the demo. And I want to explain kind of briefly how the scoring works. So the first thing is you can see here in the table that here's a problem, the AD problem, the adding problem. It's worth 2 points, so it's a medium problem. And both Lane Tech and Niles West got it right, and because it's a medium problem, they both earn 2 points. When you get a question right in the scoreboard, it shows up in green. If you get it wrong, like Niles West here did for this 1 point question, it shows up in red. And it indicates here that they have guessed once wrong so far. Now, there's a couple reasons why that's important. The first is that when you are submitting answers, there's a timestamp relative to the beginning of the competition. So from the beginning of the competition, this problem here, Lane Tech was like 40,875 seconds since the competition technically started. So that's their score penalty, and this is like a bad number. The higher it is, the worse it is. Niles West, on the other hand, when they got this answer right, it was 49,112 seconds into the competition. And since that number is larger than what Lane Tech has, they're in second place and Lane Tech is first. So this is like a tiebreaker. Now what you may notice is that the actual number that shows up here for Niles West is 49,132, and that's a difference of a bunch. It looks like a difference of, well, it's not that much. It's 20. Yeah, it's 20. Okay. So why a difference of 20? Well, it turns out that when Niles West answered this question the first time, they were wrong, and so that gave them a 20-second penalty. So this number is 20 seconds higher than this number would be. This question that they've answered wrong, there's no penalty for it yet, but if they were to get it right eventually, they would get 1 point, which would give them a score of 3, which means that they would move into first place. It would also mean that their penalty value here would go up by whatever the time difference was from the beginning of the competition, plus an additional 20-second penalty for getting wrong. So this value will only come into play for ties when two teams have the exact same score, and it's kind of the sum of all the difference in times from the beginning of the competition to when you got it right, plus all the 20-second time penalties. It'll make a little bit more sense if you play with the demo, but that's a brief overview of how the scoring works. So let's go back to the directions here. During the competition, you'll have access to this website, which is the Java 7 documentation, so they can refer to this. We've also usually let students bring in materials that are hard copy, so a reference book would be fine as well. There's a lot of interesting things here that you can read through if you so desire, hopefully before the competition starts. The main thing that I'm going to do right now is I want to show you how to complete one problem in the competition, and then also how to do reading of input. There's a lot of detail here in terms of reading input in that I recommend you go over with your students, because the scanner class that most people will use for reading an input is a little bit difficult at times. But I'm going to focus on a simple example right now. So the very first thing you want to do to be able to submit a problem is you need to log in. So I'll click login. To get your login and password, there's this third document here, which is a Google spreadsheet. If you open it, it has a list of usernames and passwords. I'll do the Niles West one. So Niles West, and I know the password. It's very super secret. And here I am. You can see now that I can just see the Niles West info, and there's a list here of things where I've submitted information. So you can see here that when I tried to submit the AD problem earlier before, I'd gotten it wrong the first time, and there was a compiler error. The second time I submitted it, I got it right. So that explains the 20-second penalty that I had. Alrighty, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually try to get a question right. We'll see if I can do this. And I'm going to do hello, because hello's not so bad. So the hello problem, let's see if I can open it. Here it is. I just need a program that has no input and just prints out hello. So to do that, I'm going to go to my favorite IDE called Eclipse. It doesn't matter what your class is called as long as it has a main method. So I'm going to name my project hello, which seems appropriate. Got my main method. And hopefully this will get done loading at some point. Here we go. And then all I need to do, because the output is supposed to be hello, is I'm going to do system.out.println hello. Now, one important thing I'll mention here is that your output needs to end with a new line character. So like if I did this, it's going to be wrong because it doesn't end with a new line character. So system.out.println at the very end will be very important, which you'll run into if you're doing the demo and you're getting questions wrong, so watch out for that. Now I'm going to do this intentionally wrong. I mean, I'm testing it, looks right. It's printing out hello. I haven't paid attention to the problem exactly because the directions say I need an exclamation mark, but I want to show you what the system will do if you get it wrong. So I'm going to go back, see if I can do that, go back to the problems. I'm going to choose the file to turn in. So I've already made my folder location easy to find. I'll select hello. So here it is. If you name your class similar to the actual one, the problem you're solving, DOM Judge will select the correct project to turn in for automatically usually. So because I called it hello, it's like, oh, you're turning in the hello project. If not, you have to select it manually. I'm picking Java. I'll submit it. It says, are you sure you want to turn it in? I say okay, and now it says pending. Now you've got an option here. You can wait for it to refresh, which I think takes about a minute. Or if you're impatient, you refresh it. Oh, I got it wrong. How sad. And you see it shows up red here. Darn. Okay, so what should I do? If you click on wrong answer here, it won't tell you why it's wrong. So that's oh, that's really sad. So you have to figure out what's the problem. Why is it actually wrong? So there's no runtime error. It's giving the wrong output. And so you look at the problem and you look at what you did and go, oh, I forgot the exclamation mark. All right. So wonderful. I fixed that. Let me try to turn it again. So I'll close this X, I'll choose a file, it'll be the exact same file again. I'm going to submit it, okay, and once again it's pending, I'm impatient, I reload, oh, still didn't grade it, reload, oh look, I got it right, yay! And so you can see now that my score has gone up to 3, I'm in first place, yay. This time here is huge because this competition, demo competition I started like a month ago, but that's your kind of penalty for how long it took you to get it right. And a 1 plus a 2 is a 3. It took me 2 attempts to get it right is what that 2 there means. All right, so that's kind of the most straightforward version where you don't have any input. I also want to show you one where you have a little input. So, oops, I need to go back. So let's see, which of these needs input? So this is a 1.1 anything. And so what we need to do is read in a number followed by a string and then print out the string that we read in, the whole line of it, multiple times. So I'm going to make another class because I like to organize my code. They actually could do everything in one file, just keep changing, submitting a new updated one for the new problem, but I don't think that sounds like a good idea. All right, so it's called say anything, and then the main way that most people will probably read in information is by using the scanner class. If you have another way to read in from the standard input, you can use whatever you want, like if you use buffered reader or something else, that's totally fine. There are probably some reasons why you'd want to do that because scanner has some nuances. So you don't have to do any prompting for input. There's 2 things you need. You need the repeat number, so I ask SC for the next int, and then after that I need the I guess the line, which would be sc.nextLine. So the next int command asks the scanner to read in the next int that it sees. The next line command is supposed to read in the next line it sees. And so what I always recommend is after you read those in, make sure you're getting what you think you're supposed to get. So I'm going to print out the repeat number and the line. So if I went too fast there, I'll back up. The question here is going to read in a number and a line. My code at this point should have read in a number and a line, and I'm echoing it out just to see that I've done it right. I read it, I put in a number, I type in, say, oh, wait, it stopped. How did it stop? Well, scanners are really strange objects. What this did is, this says wait, sit on the input and wait for them to read in a number. Write in a number. So they type in a number, and when you hit enter, it gets done. It's great. But all it reads in is the first number you type in. It doesn't read in the fact that you hit the new line character with the enter key. So actually, this doesn't what I call consume the new line character. So this next line actually consumes the new line character and stores it in the line variable. So to be clear, when I typed in this by hitting 5 and then the enter key, this read in the 5, this read in the new line character. Like, oh my god, that's terrible. That's not what I meant. So here's the solution to this, unfortunately. After you read in an int, oh, sorry, I did that wrong. You could gobble the new line character, and then if you read in the next line, this will get it. So let me try it again. 5, and then hello. And then you can see that it said 5 and hello. It's a little bit goofy. This is a reason why you should read through those directions all the way through about how the scanner class works, because it's a little bit strange. Now that I'm sure that it's working right, I can write the code I want, which is for int I equal to 0, I less than repeat, I plus plus, system.out.println what I read in, and then if I run it, I type in 5, hello, and it prints out hello 5 times. So everything looks good there. I could turn this in just for the sake of, well, I'll turn this in so we see it works. So hopefully it works. We'll find out. Let me go back. I'm going to be turning in a new problem now, so I'm going to choose say anything. It didn't select the right problem here, so I have to figure out which one it is. And I believe that's the any problem. We'll find out in a second. And I'm going to hit submit. I'm going to say OK. It's pending. Oh, I hope I did it right. Oh, still pending. I'll reload again. Oh my goodness. Yay, I got it right. So now my score is up to 4. How wonderful. One thing that I will show you that will happen is you can get a runtime error. And what's new this year, assuming I have it working right now, I think I do, is that if you generate a runtime error, it will tell you of a runtime error. So I mean, there's no reason you would do this, but let's say you did the substring from like -1, which obviously is not something you should do. If I run this and type in 5 hello, obviously it's crashing because that's you can't do a substring from -1. So I'm going to show you what happens in the system if you try to submit that. So I'm going to turn it again, choose file, say anything. It's the any problem, submit. Okay, it's pending, still pending. Still pending. Oh my goodness, a runtime error. So if I click on that, you'll see that it says the runtime error here. So there's the printout. And so if you can read your error message, you might be able to figure out what your problem is. That's the main thing about the competition. If there are any questions you have about how the system works, how the scoring works, how the competition is going to work, please feel free to give me an email. One thing I will tell you about this demo system is it's running at my house. So there are things that go wrong, like the power goes out, or my computer decides to randomly run an update, so it needs to reboot and things shut down. So if the demo contest isn't working, just send me an email, and if I'm not at home to like fix it, I'll fix it as soon as I can. So, but please send me an email if you have any questions. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I've answered a lot of your questions about how the ProComp competition will work.